The sword-wielding man raises his weapon and strikes repeatedly at the captive's neck. But, to everyone's astonishment, the sword fails to cut through. Eventually, a piece of the blade breaks off, leaving the crowd in shock. The swordsman, baffled, mutters, "This is impossible." The tied-up man smirks and says, "Why can't I die? I have no attachments to life. I've killed countless people and don't even believe in living any longer." The scene shifts to an interview with the captive man, whose name is Gabimaru. A reporter is digging into his story, revealing that he was once a renowned shinobi, ninja, from a dangerous village known for training assassins. The training was brutal. Many died, but those who survived became incredibly strong. The reporter asked Gabimaru how the sword broke during his execution. Gabimaru, unimpressed, replies, "A weak swordsman cannot kill me. I didn't even need to use my ninjutsu." The story continues with Gabimaru facing another execution attempt. This time, he's tied to a wooden stake surrounded by bundles of kindling. They then set fire to the wood, but Gabimaru emerges unscathed, leaving everyone terrified. Gabimaru nonchalantly says, "I'm not resisting death, yet I still survive." Why? The narrative dives deeper into Gabimaru's past. He reveals that his village chief had orchestrated a betrayal against him when he tried to leave the village with his wife. Gabimaru's wife was a kind-hearted woman who believed in living a simple, grateful life, despite the hardships she faced, including a burn scar inflicted by her father to prevent her from leading a normal life. Her words and love became a rare source of warmth for Gabimaru, who had only known violence and death. Back in the present, Gabimaru faces yet another execution attempt. He's chained to a mechanism designed to pull him apart. Despite the pain, he refuses to die. The reporter, revealed to be Sagiri, a skilled executioner from the Yamada clan, confronts him. She's not just there to document his story. She's an expert in testing swords and delivering death sentences. She challenges Gabimaru, questioning his will to live. Sagiri asserts, "You're lying when you say you don't care about life. Your survival instinct proves otherwise. You love your wife, don't you? She's your reason to live." Gabimaru is taken aback by her words. Flashbacks of his wife flood his mind, and he begins to realize the truth in Sagiri's statement. He's been clinging to life because of his love for her. Sagiri then presents him with a choice. He can earn his freedom and a pardon for his crimes if he joins a deadly expedition to a mysterious island called Paradise. This island is said to hold the elixir of life, but it's also a place of unimaginable danger. Previous search parties sent to the island never returned, their remains found entwined with strange, flower-like growths. Gabimaru, initially skeptical, becomes determined when Sagiri reveals that his wife is still waiting for him, holding on to the belief that he'll return. With newfound resolve, Gabimaru declares he'll take on the mission no matter the cost. He unleashes his ninjutsu, enveloping his body in flames, showcasing his true power. "I'll survive this, no matter what, for her," he says. In this story, we follow Sagiri's journey and her challenges. It begins with Sagiri witnessing her father, a skilled executioner, carrying out a death sentence. The convict tells a story while being executed, and even after his death, his tale is completed. This deeply impresses Sagiri, inspiring her to follow in her father's footsteps and become a skilled executioner herself. As Sagiri grows older, she begins carrying out executions. However, she struggles with guilt and fear while performing her duties, which causes unnecessary pain to the condemned. A fellow executioner points this out, making Sagiri question whether she can ever execute people as flawlessly as her father. The story then shifts to a scene where criminals are gathered. These convicts, who have committed heinous crimes, are sentenced to find the elixir of life on Paradise Island. Those who succeed will be pardoned, but failure means death. Sagiri is tasked with overseeing these criminals as an executioner. Among the convicts is a notorious man named Gabimaru, known for his deadly skills. Sagiri doubts his reputation initially, but soon realizes he is as dangerous as people claim. The group is shown a man who returned from Paradise Island, but was overtaken by strange flowers growing from his body, which terrifies everyone. They learn that executioners will accompany the convicts to ensure they don't betray their mission. The convicts soon turn on each other, fighting to survive since only the strongest will be sent to the island. This leads to bloodshed, with the strongest criminals, each possessing unique abilities, standing out. Gabimaru, despite sitting calmly amidst the chaos, proves his might when challenged, brutally defeating those who attack him. Sagiri observes Gabimaru and realizes that, like her, he carries the burden of taking lives. However, he has accepted this burden and found a way to live with it. In the end, only 10 convicts and their executioner overseers are chosen to go to Paradise Island. The story concludes with the group arriving at the mysterious and beautiful island, leaving the audience eager to know what awaits them next. At the beginning of the part, we see the chief of a young, decorated clan being attacked by numerous armed individuals. Despite being struck by arrows and swords, the chief remains unharmed. Gabimaru witnesses this and learns that the chief drank a potion from an island, granting him immortality. In the next scene, Sagiri and Gabimaru arrive on the island. Gabimaru is skeptical about the existence of the immortality potion, while Sagiri is amazed by the colorful flowers surrounding the area. She comments that such beauty hints the potion might exist here, but Gabimaru warns her to stay cautious. While Sagiri insists on tying his hands, Gabimaru reluctantly complies, expressing frustration over their limited supplies and resources for finding the potion. Suddenly, a red-masked convict named Test Queen attacks Gabimaru. He aims to test his weapons on Gabimaru, leading to a fierce battle. Despite his hands being tied, Gabimaru skillfully counters the attacks, leaving everyone stunned. Sagiri, always following rules, criticizes Gabimaru for fighting with untied hands. But Test Queen mocks her strict adherence to rules, calling her weak among executioners. Gabimaru ultimately defeats Test Queen, shocking everyone with his strength. As tensions rise, Sagiri and Gabimaru reflect on their goals. Gabimaru shares his only wish, to obtain the immortality potion and reunite with his wife. Flashbacks reveal Gabimaru's painful past, including his parents' death and the harsh teachings of his village chief, who believed emotions make people weak. The narrative shifts back to the present, where Gabimaru and Sagiri face off in a heated fight. Both hesitate to kill each other, revealing their inner conflict. They recall moments of doubt and empathy, showing that beneath their hardened exteriors, they struggle with emotions. Gabimaru remembers his wife's words, "True strength comes from accepting one's feelings." As the fight continues, Gabimaru prepares to strike Sagiri but stops, overwhelmed by his emotions. Sagiri reassures him, saying, accepting emotions doesn't make him weak, it makes him strong. She encourages Gabimaru to focus on reuniting with his wife and reclaiming his life. In the final scenes, a convict and an executioner encounter a bizarre butterfly with a human-like face. The butterfly lands on the convict's hand, causing flowers to sprout from his severed hand. They are horrified when a monstrous creature with long tongues and eye hands appears. Meanwhile, Sagiri and Gabimaru face another strange creature. As the battle unfolds, strange creatures begin to appear. One of them looks like a fish but has 6 arms adorned with prayer beads. The creature breaks its beads and attacks Gabimaru with its 6 fists. Gabimaru quickly counters, delivering a kick to the creature's head, but the creature grabs his leg and slams him to the ground. Gabimaru gets up, recalling his ninja rule. Never fight an unknown enemy without fully understanding them. He debates whether to run or seek Sagiri's help. Suddenly, the creature wraps Gabimaru with its tail and hurls him around. Sagiri, watching nearby, sees Gabimaru bleeding and approaches. Gabimaru tells her they should retreat, but they are surrounded by grinning, monstrous creatures. Just when things seem dire, a samurai appears and slays the attacking creature. The newcomer introduces himself as Yuzuriha, accompanied by 2 samurai. Gabimaru recalls his wife's words about showing gratitude and thanks Yuzuriha. He asks why she helped him despite being an opponent. Yuzuriha smirks and says she finds Gabimaru reliable, especially considering his injuries and how he saved Sagiri earlier. Yuzuriha teases Gabimaru, touching his chest, saying she's scared of this dangerous place and will follow him if he protects her. Gabimaru bluntly rejects her advances, reminding her he's married. Yuzuriha apologizes and insists her offer to team up is genuine, as 3 are safer than 1. Sagiri questions why Yuzuriha has 2 samurai with her. One, named Genji, explains that he was appointed to monitor Yuzuriha, but she manipulated him into joining her. The second, named Senta, mentions how they encountered poisonous creatures and statues along the way, realizing this land is extremely dangerous. They all agree teamwork is their best chance of survival. As the group agrees to team up, meanwhile, Sagiri feels frustrated with her own performance and faints from exhaustion. The episode begins with Sagiri sleeping inside a hollow tree. Suddenly, Sagiri wakes up and finds Ganjin standing nearby. She asks him about the situation. Ganjin explains that a poisonous butterfly had stung her, causing her to faint. Meanwhile, Gabimaru is seen cooking, Yuzuriha is resting, and Senta is folding clothes. Sagiri questions why they're wasting time since it's already limited. Gabimaru casually replies that they're just taking a short break. Senta then suggests they gather to discuss everything they've observed about the mysterious island. Gabimaru reveals he hasn't found any edible items while foraging, but the island is vast, so he can't be sure yet. Yuzuriha teases Gabimaru for cooking with random ingredients, but Gabimaru defends himself, saying he didn't use anything dangerous. Later, Ganjin approaches Sagiri and suggests she leave the island. He offers to take her place and urges her to marry the clan leader instead. Sagiri grips her sword tightly and firmly responds that a true warrior never abandons their mission. Ganjin doubts her strength, reminding her of her broken sword. He questions whether she's prepared to fight someone as powerful as Gabimaru. Sagiri reflects on her past, recalling how society dismissed her for being a woman aspiring to become a samurai. She remembers her father's disappointment, but insists on living her life as a warrior. She tells Ganjin she knows she's inexperienced, but she's determined to live life on her terms. Ganjin challenges her to prove herself, and Sagiri skillfully disarms him, leaving him stunned. In another part of the island, Tenza and Nurugai attempt to escape using a boat. However, the ocean currents pull them back toward the island. They spot a broken ship surrounded by corpses and eerie creatures. Suddenly, a monstrous octopus attacks them. Nurugai panics, recalling how her entire clan was slaughtered, leaving her filled with guilt. Tenza reassures her, urging her to survive and fight alongside him. Together, they defeat the monster, though Nurugai is shaken. Tenza tells her it's not her fault, motivating her to keep fighting. Eventually, they return to the island, covered in blood. While cleaning up, Nurugai admits she admires Tenza's bravery and confesses her love for him. Embarrassed, Tenza shifts the focus back to finding a way off the island. The next morning, Ganjin again offers Sagiri a chance to leave, but she declines. She recounts how people always told her she couldn't lead or be a samurai because she was a woman. Suddenly, a massive creature attacks the group, cutting the conversation short. Sagiri and the others prepare to defend themselves as the episode ends on a thrilling cliffhanger. At the start of this part, in the present, Rokurota's insatiable hunger drives him to attack Samurai Genji. The attack sends Genji flying, leaving him severely injured and bleeding. Sagiri, frightened by the scene, is told by Genji to run away, but Rokurota turns his focus on her as well. Just in time, Gabimaru intervenes and strikes Rokurota, sending him flying. Sagiri wonders aloud, is this prisoner even human, or some kind of monster? She recalls that this giant had been a notorious figure in his land, and that samurai had been assigned to control him. Despite Gabimaru's efforts, Rokurota stands back up, staring at him with predator-like eyes. Gabimaru realizes that escaping won't be possible unless Rokurota is killed. Gabimaru recalls his ninja training. To defeat an enemy, first understand their full strength. Rokurota pulls a tree out of the ground and throws it at Gabimaru. Though Gabimaru dodges, he realizes just how powerful Rokurota is. He asks Sagiri for help, but she calmly states, "Your job is to fight, and mine is to gather information. Fight strategically, and you'll win." Rokurota attacks again, but Sagiri manages to sever one of his fingers. This stuns Gabimaru, and Sagiri explains, "Even the strongest body has weak points. If we attack the joints, we can take him down." They decide to target Rokurota's weak spots together. Gabimaru distracts Rokurota while Sagiri aims for his vulnerable areas, but their efforts aren't enough to bring him down. Sagiri takes a deep breath, focusing her mind and controlling her emotions. She calmly strikes at Rokurota's arm, but again fails to cause significant damage. She realizes that because of Rokurota's constant movement, his body doesn't stay exposed long enough for a critical strike. Suddenly, Rokurota grows even more frenzied with hunger and begins charging toward them. His massive attacks push Gabimaru and Sagiri to their limits. Gabimaru devises a high-risk strategy, using fire to create a toxic environment that weakens Rokurota. As the flames spread, Rokurota begins to suffocate from the smoke. Finally, Sagiri approaches him and strikes, severing his head. Before leaving, Sagiri respectfully closes Rokurota's eyes, saying, "Forgive us. This was my mistake, but now it's over." As the flames intensify, they flee the area. Tom and Rokurota discuss the legends of immortal monks said to inhabit the island. They plan to kill these monks to steal their powers. Suddenly, they hear a mysterious sound and come across two women on a mountaintop, Mora and his elder brother, surprised by two girls kissing each other. The blonde-haired girl notices them and asks what the last humans are doing there. She mentions sending guards, Shoshin, and wonders what happened to them. The pink-haired girl invites Tamura and his brother to join them, but the blonde-haired one sternly refuses, saying they won't engage with humans. The blonde-haired girl, annoyed by their presence, transforms into a man, declaring that she'll kill them. Meanwhile, Gabimaru and the others spot a village in the distance. As they discuss it, Gabimaru notices a young girl behind them. When she sees him, she starts running. Gabimaru chases and catches her, but suddenly a tree-like guardian attacks him. Taking advantage of the chaos, the girl escapes, and Gabimaru pursues her. Gabimaru thinks that capturing the girl could reveal secrets about the place. He fights off the tree-like guardian, which crashes into another guardian. Sagiri follows Gabimaru, and they all face another attack from the guardian. As things escalate, Yuzuri drinks from a small bottle and her body reacts strangely. Meanwhile, the girl runs deep into the jungle. Gabimaru catches up, but the girl lifts and throws him effortlessly, leaving him stunned by her strength. Sagiri tries to calm the girl, assuring her they mean no harm and only want to talk. However, the girl attacks Sagiri. Using tree branches, he subdues her, making her cry. Gabimaru and Sagiri free the girl and try to comfort her. The tree-like guardian, lying nearby, speaks up, shocking everyone. It offers to guide them to the village and reveal details about the elixir of life. They enter a hauntingly quiet village with broken-down houses. The guardian explains that this place was once thriving thousands of years ago. In the house, Gabimaru notices everything is eerily well-preserved. When Gabimaru asks about the elixir, the guardian confirms its existence and describes the island's 3 regions: Ishu, covered in dense jungles; Hojo, where the village lies; and Horai, the central part of the island where the elixir can be found. Excited, Gabimaru becomes hopeful about returning to his wife. However, he remains cautious and skeptical about the guardian's story. Meanwhile, Tamura and his brother fight Tensen, now in male form, but are overpowered. The guardian explains that Tensen cannot die and regenerates rapidly. It further reveals that the Tensen extract power from the transformed flowers. To prove its claims, the guardian demonstrates its regenerative ability after breaking its arm. This part introduces us to Tenza's story in Hell's Paradise. We learn that in the past, Tenza lived a life similar to a beggar. He had no home, his parents were very poor, and people around him ridiculed and insulted him, thinking he was a burden to society. He survived by stealing food. One day, while fighting with some people, a samurai named Shion appeared and took Tenza with him. In the present, Tenza and Nurugai are exploring the island, trying to find a way out. However, they can't find an exit. Suddenly, a mysterious blonde girl appears out of nowhere. Surprised, Tenza questions her presence. The girl tells them that many strange things are happening in the forest, and she has seen several monsters here. She asks if they are responsible for these occurrences. Then she transforms into a Tensen, a powerful entity, shocking Tenza and Nurugai. They try to escape, but the girl easily catches up and attacks them. Her attack is so strong that Tenza is thrown far away. She then targets Nurugai, but Nurugai dodges and surprises the girl with her speed. As the girl prepares to attack again, Tenza defends them and strikes at her. However, the girl regenerates instantly. Realizing they can't defeat her, Tenza plans an escape and tells Nurugai to run when he signals. Although Tenza manages to injure her, the girl heals again and continues pursuing them. Just as she is about to attack again, a sword flies in and cuts her head off. This sword belongs to Shion, Tenza's master, who tells them to keep running. As they escape, Nurugai asks about Shion. Tenza explains that Shion trained him and is a high-ranking samurai of the Yamada clan. Nurugai is amazed by Shion's skills, especially since he is blind. Tenza reveals that Shion relies on his sharp senses to perceive everything. The story then shifts to Tenza's past training with Shion. Initially, Tenza was reluctant to become a samurai, but Shion believed in his potential. He taught Tenza that the sword's purpose is to protect something precious. This inspired Tenza to train seriously. In a touching moment, Tenza reflects on how much Shion trusted him and wonders if he could ever trust himself the same way. Back in the present, Tenza, despite being badly injured, continues to fight the girl to protect Nurugai and Shion. He sacrifices himself, holding off the enemy so that the others can escape. Shion and Nurugai, devastated by Tenza's sacrifice, flee. Nurugai, crying, questions why Shion didn't save Tenza. Shion, deeply saddened, explains that Tenza was more than a student to him. They were like brothers. Shion vows to avenge Tenza's death when the time is right. In the final scenes, we see Tenza fall, having given his life to protect those he cared about. This part begins with the group sitting together in a large area of the island, but they are unable to make sense of what's happening. In the next scene, everyone falls asleep, and Gabimaru is alert, thinking about what Center had told him, that the island holds many mysteries, and they must uncover them. Tenza is guarding the group, and Gabimaru realizes that if they enter the forest without a plan, they could be in grave danger. As Gabimaru moves forward, he notices the forest growing denser. As he moves ahead, the scenery shifts, and he faces a large red door. Just as he tries to open the gate, he senses someone behind him. Turning around, he sees what looks like a human, but soon realizes it's something entirely different. The creature attacks him, showing immense strength and regenerative powers. Despite Gabimaru's efforts, his attacks barely leave a mark. The fight intensifies as Gabimaru tries using fire techniques, but the creature regenerates effortlessly and transforms into a monstrous form. Gabimaru reflects on his training and decides to push his limits. He launches a powerful attack, but the monster counters with an electric wave, knocking Gabimaru down. We see Gabimaru hallucinating about his wife, feeling as though he's finally with her, but he snaps back to reality and realizes he's still in the fight for survival. Just when it seems Gabimaru is outmatched, another character steps in to shield him, creating a protective barrier to withstand the monster's attack. The battle continues, but Gabimaru understands that his enemy's immortality can only be overcome by attacking faster than it can regenerate. Meanwhile, Sagiri and the others are shown searching for Gabimaru. Despite the dangers of the jungle, they decide to push forward, determined to bring him back. They encounter more of the mysterious beings known as the Seven Hermits, who rule the island. These beings discuss how some humans who recently arrived on the island are unusually strong and have even defeated their monstrous creations. The hermits reveal their ability to switch between male and female forms at will, and their leader warns them not to underestimate the humans. They express frustration at one of their members, accusing him of struggling to defeat a single human near the gate. However, their leader reminds them that they must stay united as a family and focus on their mission. The story then shifts to Gabimaru, who is recovering after his battle. He reflects on the hermits' immense power, calling them neither gods nor demons, but monstrous beings. Realizing he can't win alone, he plans to seek help from his allies. Just then, Tamiya and his companion appear, taunting Gabimaru about his weakened state. Tamiya mocks him, saying it's probably his time to die. We see Gabimaru and Tamiya meeting another prisoner, who has a samurai with him. Tamiya tells Gabimaru that from a distance, he thought this person might be trash. But since you're a shinobi, you look in terrible shape. Tamiya and Gabimaru are about to fight. He decides he needs to change his strategy. Gabimaru sits down and says, based on their strength, they should work together. Tamiya acts like he's going to attack Gabimaru with his sword, but Gabimaru doesn't move. Tamiya says he's disappointed because Gabimaru isn't acting like he's about to fight. Fushi asks why Gabimaru wants to work together. Gabimaru shares his story, explaining the tension with the king, his powers, and everything else. Tamiya and Fushi are shocked and ask many questions. Gabimaru says he doesn't know much, but just wants to apologize to the king so he can return to his wife. Fushi is unsure how they can help. Tamiya says he doesn't need an apology, but wants to become immortal. Gabimaru and Fushi are surprised. Tamiya laughs and says he wants to do something that will make people remember him forever. As the scene shifts, Gabimaru is surprised to see Mai Mai suddenly grow up. Gabimaru is confused, and when Mai Mai speaks for the first time, Gabimaru then asks Mai Mai about the power that saved him and if she's immortal, like Tenshin. Gabimaru asks, do you know where the Tenshin get their power from? Is there a way to defeat them? Mai repeatedly says Tao and gestures with her hands. But Gabimaru doesn't understand. Tamiya explains, in martial arts, Tao can mean balance of body and spirit. Fuchi adds, in Chinese medicine, Tao refers to the flow of energy in the body. Despite their guesses, they remain confused about its true meaning. Elsewhere, Sagiri's group learns that everything on the island is connected to Tao, but they struggle to understand its significance. Nurugai asks Xion to teach her sword fighting so she can avenge Tensa. Xion initially refuses, but later agrees to teach her how to sense and use Tao to enhance her skills. He explains, every living thing emits waves of energy. By focusing your mind between anger and calmness, you can sharpen your senses and become stronger. Meanwhile, Tomo and her brother climb out of the pit and encounter a doshi, one of the Tenshin's right-hand servants. The doshi tries to negotiate, but Tomo's brother attacks him, learning that their weakness lies in their lower body. He discovers that the Tenshin's lower body is like the roots of a tree, which are more vulnerable than the rest of the body. As the battle intensifies, the doshi is impressed by Tomo's brother's strength, but notes that he's not using Tao effectively. The doshi gains the upper hand, wounding him badly. We see a deadly attack on Asa, where his throat is sliced right in the middle, and blood starts pouring out. Witnessing this, Toma rushes to his brother's side, but Asa confronts the attacker, who tells him that he should have retreated to the pit instead of trying to survive. Just as the attacker grabs Asa's hair to finish him, Asa suddenly regains consciousness and tears the attacker apart with his sheer strength. The attacker is shocked, wondering how a human could be so powerful, especially since he had already slashed Asa's throat. He is puzzled as to how Asa's body regenerated. Asa, still fighting, declares that humans can defeat monsters too. Toma asks Asa about the strange energy he felt from him earlier, but the attacker mocks them, questioning how ordinary humans could detect such power. Asa replies with a smirk, maybe this is the power that can defeat you. Realizing that Asa's energy, Tao, has increased drastically, the attacker decides to kill him quickly before he becomes an even greater threat. The attacker breaks both of Asa's arms, but to his horror, Asa heals himself instantly, leaving him terrified. The attacker can't believe that a human could regenerate so quickly. Meanwhile, Toma notices strange marks appearing on Asa's body, indicating a transformation. Asa, enraged, identifies the attacker's weak spot and lands a crushing blow. The attacker falls but continues to monitor Asa's increasing Tao, growing more helpless with every failed attack. Despite summoning his allies, Asa destroys them all. In the next scene, we see Gabimaru fighting relentlessly. He is cutting down monsters and pondering the strange energy. Tao. Gabimaru, however, keeps adapting during his battles. Elsewhere, a mysterious foe jumps down and grabs Mei. He reveals that she has been missing for centuries and is essential to their plans. Mei looks terrified, and Gabimaru leaps to her rescue, determined to protect her. During the intense fight, the attacker manipulates the battlefield using magical powers, covering the area with butterflies and caterpillars. Gabimaru and his allies realize that their enemy is far stronger than anticipated. The attacker reveals that their power comes from mastering Tao, which involves following 5 steps: Do, To, Sai, Shi, and the final and most crucial step, Shushu. This last step, he explains, requires a partner for a physical connection. Gabimaru and his team are disgusted by this, calling out the attacker's twisted ideology. The enemy further explains that this process was invented by Tensins, who have been mastering it for thousands of years to defy the laws of nature. They add that the Tensin have both male and female traits, allowing them to perform this technique with ease, unlike ordinary humans. Mei, they claim, is the perfect partner for this process. Hearing this, Gabimaru and his allies become furious and vow to protect Mei. During the fight, Gabimaru activates his Tao, perfectly balancing his strength and weakness, and gains the upper hand. He senses the Tao of nearby creatures and counters all attacks. Finally, he strikes the attacker, defeating him and gathering vital information. The attacker reveals that 3 more spies like him were sent by the Tensin to monitor humans. As the group advances, they encounter a new gate. Opening it, they find themselves in a completely different world. Waiting for them is a powerful Tensin. With just a snap of his fingers, he destroys an entire garden, showing the immense gap in power. Leaving everyone in shock, Tensin says, "You are the first humans in 1,000 years to reach this place." Seeing Tensin, Senta feels terrified and starts running, but Tensin catches her and reassures her, saying, "Don't be afraid, I'm not here to kill you." Senta, still scared, thinks, "This being is far more powerful than anyone we've fought before." She draws her sword while Tensin says, "Don't look at me like that, I just want to talk to you all." Hoko then explains to everyone, "This is Tensin, whose name is Jujin." Upon hearing this, Senta is shocked and asks Hoko, "Your head was cut off. How are you still alive?" Suddenly, 2 humanoid puppets named Kiyoshi grab Senta. Jujin continues, "These puppets are made from humans. I enjoy playing with humans. The stronger ones are used to make elixirs." The scene shifts to Yuzuriha, who uses her kunai to attack Jujin, seemingly killing him. Everyone feels relieved and starts planning their escape. But Sagiri remains lost in thoughts about Gabimaru. She thinks, "I know you're shocked that there's no elixir, but we must focus on escaping this island first." As the group prepares to leave, Jujin regenerates and tries to attack them. Yuzuriha defends herself but is impressed by Jujin's powers. Jujin says to her, "You can sense Tao, but you don't know how to use it properly." Yuzuriha responds, "I don't know much about Tao, but in my village, we call it Ki." Jujin offers, "Let me teach you how to use Tao." Before Jujin can proceed, Senta intervenes, drawing his sword and declaring, "You'll have to go through me first." Jujin mocks him, saying, "You and Sagiri are useless to me, but Yuzuriha, I can teach you Tao and much more." As Jujin continues taunting, he suddenly attacks Sagiri, knocking her down and injuring her. Jujin then shifts his focus back to Yuzuriha, but she uses her ninja techniques to counterattack. However, Jujin regenerates again, leaving everyone stunned. He explains, "Your techniques are good, but Tao can be mastered to become invincible." Despite Jujin's overwhelming strength, Sagiri, Senta, and Yuzuriha work together to attack him. During the battle, Jujin reveals, "Those who fully master Tao are like gods. Without it, you'll always remain ordinary." The group's attacks begin to weaken Jujin, but he transforms into a monstrous form and launches a relentless assault. Sagiri pushes herself to her limits, using breathing techniques to enhance her Tao. Jujin, surprised by Sagiri's sudden growth in power, wonders, how did she become so strong so quickly? Sagiri senses Jujin's weak points and, with the help of her allies, launches a final attack. Jujin is injured but regenerates again, claiming, "No one has ever fully mastered Tao to defeat me." Yuzuriha, Sagiri, and Senta regroup for one last effort. Jujin, now in a desperate state, attacks recklessly, but the group overpowers him. Senta delivers a decisive blow, stabbing Jujin in the chest, while Sagiri decapitates him. Jujin collapses, bleeding heavily. Everyone assumes they've won, but they remain cautious. Sagiri reflects, "If there's no elixir, what do we do now?" Yuzuriha replies, "If it doesn't exist, we'll figure something else out." As the group takes a moment to rest, they notice strange flowers blooming around Jujin's body. Suddenly, a vine emerges and attacks Yuzuriha, but Senta pushes her away, sacrificing himself. The vine entwines around Senta, and he starts transforming into a flower-like creature. similar to the Tensins Gabimaru had fought earlier. We see Shion facing a tough battle. Poisonous birds are threatening Sagiri, Senta, and Usuriha's lives. Shion orders Nurugai to take Sagiri, Senta, and Usuriha to safety and cut off all the flowers growing on Senta. This might delay the spread of the infection. Meanwhile, Shion prepares himself to fight Tenzin. He senses the same powerful aura from Tenzin that once killed 300 warriors, and he vows to show how to defeat an immortal. As Tenzin begins his attack with a swarm of birds, Shion skillfully cuts them down. Nurugai helps by removing all the flowers growing on Senta, but his condition worsens, and even Shion struggles to find a solution. At this moment, Usuriha suggests she has a salve that could temporarily stop the bleeding. Suddenly, a massive explosion occurs as Shion and Tenzin fiercely clash. During the intense fight, Tenzin regenerates rapidly, mocking Shion by saying he's too weak to win. However, Shion notices an odd reaction in Tenzin's body, with strange flowers beginning to grow from him. Tenzin reveals that even a scratch from these flowers can cause similar growth in others. But Shion, determined, cuts the flowers from his own body, saying he's ready to die if it means protecting everyone. Sagiri and Nurugai, despite being warned, rush forward to help Shion. Together they come up with a strategy. Sagiri and Nurugai will distract Tenzin while Shion attacks his weak spot, his stomach. As they execute the plan, Tenzin unleashes powerful attacks, but Shion deflects them and lands a critical blow, cutting Tenzin down. However, the fight takes a toll on Shion, and he starts bleeding heavily. As Tenzin regenerates once again, he attacks relentlessly. Shion, filled with self-blame for past failures, pushes forward, unleashing his full strength. With Senta's guidance, Shion strikes Tenzin's true weak spot, the core in his stomach. This final blow destroys Tenzin, who transforms into a pot of flowers and thanks Shion and the group before fading away. Although the battle is won, the cost is high. Senta is severely injured, and the group realizes they only have one salve left. Usuriha makes a tough decision, stating that the salve should be used on Shion instead of Senta, as keeping Senta alive would only prolong his suffering. Sagiri becomes emotional, but she accepts the harsh reality. Before passing away, Senta reflects on his life, thinking about his family, home, and beloved pet. Tears flow from his eyes as he passes peacefully, leaving everyone in mourning. Sagiri vows that no one else will die, and they must all work together to survive and return home. In the post-credit scene, we see Gabimaru waking up after losing consciousness. He seems disoriented, struggling to remember his past or why he's there. Meanwhile, the group discusses their next steps and the dangers of the island's mysterious powers. This sets the stage for Season 2, which is confirmed to be coming soon. Stay tuned for updates on the next season, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in Season 2.